back in the recording studio today. So glad to have you here. This is the third episode for my YouTube. And I don't even remember what it is for the podcast. So today's topic is going to be your stress and your metabolism. So I'm going to be like an interpreter for your metabolism. I'm going to speak metabolism to you because I think it'll be a healthy interpretation of what's going on with your body. So when people come to me and they want to lose weight, and I can't really say that I love helping people lose weight, because when we work on so many other things, weight loss is a natural thing that happens. So that isn't what I go in working with, even though that's what people come to me mainly for. We don't first address them by address what they want by just getting them to lose weight. I work my way around it, improving other areas of their life, and subsequently, poof, the weight comes off. And most of the time for good. So let's talk about stress in your metabolism and what your metabolism should be interpreted as. So I want you to think of the things that you have going on in your life and think about your relationships. So maybe like with your parents, your siblings, your spouse or your partner, your children. I want you to think of like, what is the level of stress in the relationships area of your life? Take a look at your job or your career, or just kind of look and see what your satisfaction and what the stress level is in that area of your life. Maybe look at your finances. That's sure as hell is this area of stress in your life. Where are you at in your satisfaction of that, and how much stress does it cause in your life? Maybe look at your home environment. Like, is it pretty toxic? Like, do you like where you live, or is or your neighbors or the area where you're living, is that stressful? Maybe look at, your food and your food choices, the meaning or the food quality. Do you cook at home? Or you're constantly eating takeout, because that can cause stress in your life. What about your spiritual life? Some people call it religion or spirituality, whatever it is for you, whatever resonates. Where is your relationship with a higher being, right? Because whether we believe in God or not, we all have an opinion and relationship with it. So is that causing you stress? There's other areas of life that I'm kind of like, maybe I'm not communicating effectively all the 12 areas of life, but I just want you to look at some of those things. And then when you add in, if you're raising kids and you have a job and you're running a household and all the things that go with running kids to and from there, maintaining your health, being a good employee or boss or wherever you are at in that, and then trying to maintaining friendships, right? And maintaining a marriage or a partnership with your spouse. Those are all areas where we're constantly juggling all these different areas of our life. And what happens is when we start to spread ourselves too thin, cracks start to show. And we've all been there. I've certainly have been there. So I'm speaking to you in an area of personal experience and professional experience. So your metabolism, I want you to think as it responds to stress in our life. Think of it as a barometer, like pressure, right? It responds to the different stresses that we put on it. So if we get a crappy night's sleep, if we are in toxic relationships, we eat takeout all the time, we don't have a set stress management skills or CBT in our life. Let's say we're in a job that we hate, we're maybe in the tween age of our parents are aging and we're raising kids. And think of all of these are all things that add stress to your to your body. And then when you try to cut calories or increase your calorie expenditure, that adds more stress onto your metabolism. So your metabolism, I'm going to use the Goldilocks analogy, and everybody knows this story. Like it's either your metabolism, your nervous system responds to the stressors that you give it. So our metabolism doesn't like too little stress, meaning like sedentary, and like it doesn't like sedentariness, because, you know, in that extreme, that actually is more stressor on our body. And it doesn't like the extreme. It doesn't like the excess or extreme exercise. It's like that's the too hot and too cold area of Goldilocks. Your metabolism and your nervous system work hand in hand in that it likes things just right. So your metabolism responds to short bursts of stress. Gay Hendricks talks about this in his books. It's called the range of resonance in our nervous system. And the greater range of resonance is between we get too high into hypervigilance, and the too low is hypovigilance. When so many people in today, especially in today's world, when they're stressed out for so long, for so many different things, they have too many plates in the air, that range of resonance is actually really small. There's this threshold that you think that any little thing will topple you over. So that's letting you know that you're doing too much. So, I mean, again, so if your goal is weight loss, it doesn't like too little calories. It doesn't like too much calories. It doesn't like too little exercise. It doesn't like too much exercise. It has a sweet spot, and everybody's sweet spot is different. This is why one size fits all 6-week programs that they give you menu and meal plans and put you through a rigorous workout, you know, that's only like a Band-Aid. You know, I say, go try it, go figure out if that works for you or not. And maybe you can glean and glisten some things from that, but that's not going to be it's going to be a long-term thing for you as far as lifestyle shifts. So back to speaking metabolism, I can say from my personal experience. I'm going to grab a sip of water. So I used to compete in bodybuilding. Some of you know that, some of you don't. So in bodybuilding, I would start my cut for competitions about 6 months out. My coach at the time, and I love her to death, and she was a very valuable asset. I learned so much from her. Her name is Emma Lee. Love you, Emma, if you watch this. She taught me so many things early on in my career, and I still hold on to a lot of them today in my philosophies. But she ethically started me out 6 months out from a competition, saying for every pound that you need to lose to get lean enough on stage, I want to give you 2 weeks to do that. And that was really smart, because we know that the body isn't linear in its weight loss. It'll go up and down. It'll be wavy. So I would naturally lose my cycle probably within my first month of starting to compete, because we would be, she would still keep me at maintenance calories, but she would up the amount of cardio that I did, because we found that my body responds to having higher levels of calories, but just increasing my overall, increasing my calorie burn, but trying to keep my maintenance calories at a standpoint. So, but further in, we would cut, and, you know, we did it as healthily as possible. It doesn't mean that my body liked it, but I was able to cut and get on stage and get, you know, sub 15% body fat. And what we would have to do is, after that cut, I wouldn't go back to my maintenance calories. We would have to do what is called reverse dieting. So that means we would gradually cut back the cardio and gradually increase my calories. So that way I'm reversing out of my dieting or my calorie restriction. But that is a more professional idea as far as what people do in real life, as far as with yo-yo dieting. They don't do 6 months like a really advice, with someone looking over their exercise and their macros. They don't do it typically with someone professionally overseeing the things. They do it on their own, on a whim, and they cut their calories way too quick. It's unsustainable. And so every time that you drop your calories, smaller bodies require smaller calories, meaning a 150-pound version of me burns less calories at rest than the 200-pound version of me. So smaller bodies burn fewer calories. This is the physiological adaptation of survival of our metabolism. Let me say that again. That is our body's physiological response to reduction of calories. That is our survival mode that our body naturally has. When we reduce calories, our metabolism is going to drop with that. So we're not going to burn as many calories when we restrict our calories so much. Okay, that's a natural metabolic adaptation. This isn't starvation mode. This is not starvation mode. I want to get that word out of your head, because if you were truly starving, and if you look at anybody, and maybe in third world countries that are starving, unfortunately, you know what that looks like. Or someone who is anorexic that maybe eats 100 calories a day, you know what that looks like. It's not the same thing as your body going in starvation mode. It's your body's survival adaptation to calorie reduction. It will reduce the amount of calories that you burn. Like me going into my shows and starting to reduce calories or increasing my caloric expenditure by doing cardio. I was still weight training 4 or 5 times a week, but I would gradually increase my cardio to get leaner. I want you to be clear. I lost my menstrual cycle early on in my cutting phase. That's your body's red flag that you are not healthy enough to reproduce. So that was again, a survival tactic. You don't have enough calories to grow another human in your body. So we're just gonna shut down any reproduction possibilities because it's not safe in your metabolism to do so. So, calorie reduction is a stressor onto your nervous system, onto your body. And when you start to cut calories, your sleep starts to get wonky. It interrupts with that. So that's a stressor onto your body. And let's say you're doing, fasted cardio every day, that's going to be a stressor on your body. Not only are you reducing calories, but then you're trying to increase your expenditure, maybe too fast. This is why it's always important to have oversight of someone who can ethically help you with these kind of things. And then, I still had, all the meal prepping to do, still had all the posing for the stage to do, had to do running a household. Plus, I was kind of working 90 hours at that time, personal training and massage therapy full time. And then, I really didn't have a social life. So that kind of got cut. I didn't have that filling my bucket. I didn't have, well, I had Matt at the time, I still do, but there was a lot of sacrifices that I had to make with family and friends that when I was really just focused on getting stage ready, that became such a hyper focus in my life. So when you look at so many people really underestimate how much stress that is in their life. And in today's world, we have this artificial thing that you're watching me on, these devices that are very distracting, that, are also very addictive and get us constant hits of dopamine. We become a dopamine addicted because we haven't been able to learn the skills of how to provide dopamine to our bodies without these artificial social media hits. But we are constantly inundated with lights from our screens, constant screen time, phone time, that's an added stressor onto our bodies and our metabolism. So in speaking metabolism, when you have all these extra stressors in your life, your range of resonance, like going from, again, hypervigilance to hypovigilance, gets really small. And we want to have a wider range of resonance because we're way more resilient. That means we're equanimous. We can be more present. We thrive. We're resilient. We're anti-fragile. That gives us a sense of, we can handle a lot of things. So your metabolism does the same thing. You don't think that if you've been running at, a 9 out of 10 stress for years on end, don't think your metabolism just, well, okay, comes back into nice range of resonance, all nice and pretty and packed up with a bow. What happens when you've been into that hypervigilance or what we call sympathetic overdrive, you don't come down into a nice, pretty packaged, equanimous state of balance. You'd crash. You crash. And how do I know it? Well, I think you go back to episode 1 of my metabolic backstory. And it's like you crash, right? So I competed for 10 years. I think I did a total of 12 different figure bodybuilding shows. And the number that did on my metabolism over years, I was down to 1,500 calories, which is low for me. And I was like, I am still not losing weight, right? What is going on? And again, it wasn't my body going into starvation mode that so many people like to call it. It was my body's survival response to so much stress long-term over time on my metabolism. And when people yo-yo diet, restrict, and then not binge, or maybe not even binging, but just maybe F it and going and splurging and then going back to previous calories. But like I said, every time you dip low in those calories, it's just like you're driving your metabolism down. So it's at a lower point, and then you bring the surplus of calories, you're going to put on nothing but fat. So now not only you might be heavier, but maybe you lost muscle in that crash diet. And now you're at a worse starting point for the next time you yo-yo diet. So let's say you do that for 10 years and you're going to be in a world of hurt. Again, it's not starvation mode. It's your body's natural survival mechanism for your metabolism. It's trying to keep you alive, right? It's trying to send out signals to adjust what you're doing so that we don't keep on going at the same pace and the same rate. But, when you're looking out there in the weight loss and the nutrition and diet world, people unfortunately don't want to be told the truth that it takes time. There's many things that we need to work on in your life other than cutting calories that will build a lifelong skills for you to build your own user manual. That's what it is. Like good trainers and coaches and therapists and nutritionists should teach you to not need them. They should teach you the skills to know how to go back and look at your own user manual and realize where you're off and then self-regulate. But that's not what happens. Typically, if the user manual isn't created, so they just keep on hiring the next person and the next person and the next person, with all giving probably conflicting advice. So when my clients come to me and they want me to help them with weight loss, I have quite a few questions to ask them. I'll ask them, well, how's your sleep like? How can you log your food for about 3 days, including a weekend, so I know where roughly you're at with calories? Are you good during meaning, do you eat pretty balanced and regular and feel good during the week, and then you kind of lose it on the weekend and it becomes a free-for-all? I ask them, what is their relationships like between their friends and their family, their spouse, their kids, their parents? What kind of stress is going on in your career? What are your finances looking like as far as are you feeling satisfied there? And there's so many different areas where we could talk about of what are some things that are causing stressors in your life. And it's a neat thing where most people, most people, when they go to try to change or improve, they add things. And that's bonkers, because then we're doing all, like, if we keep on adding things, then that's what, again, overloads our nervous system and compounds stress on on our metabolism, and it becomes less resilient and more inflexible over time. So when we start to make shifts into our life, I would say, what can we remove? What can we say no to? Where are we people pleasing? Where we need to be a little bit more firm with our no's. What do we really want in our lives? And what really does need to go? We need to clean house. It's kind of like when, my husband and I have been in our house for 10 years. 10 years, this is kind of crazy. But you think of that, 10 years. And, you accumulate a lot of stuff in 10 years, especially if you have kids. If my husband ends up listening at this, he's going to laugh. But instead of like bringing in more, like, okay, Olivia's birthday and her Christmas, it gives me anxiety when gifts come in the house, because I really need to get rid of the things, or let go, or donate, or sell. I need to make space to bring anything else in. I want you to hear that again. I need to make space in my life in order to bring something else in. So that's one other big question I ask people that come seeking my advice or help or coaching is there room in your life to add me in there? Because something's got to give, and what is that? Because if you bring me into your life, and we gradually, sustainably, like kaizens, very small steps, building momentum, so that way we can start making bigger shifts in our life. You have to create space to bring me in, because that's the only way change is going to happen. So if you're already overfull and you're bulging at the seams, and like if you're a hoarder, not maybe literally with your home, but if you're hoarding things in your life and you're not letting go of them, you're not making space in your life to bring change in. Do you have capacity? Do you have bandwidth to add me into your life to create some shifts? Because it's when this happens, it's not comfortable. It's not sexy. It's gonna be a marathon, and sorry to tell you that there's no quick fix to this. It's gonna take some time, because it takes time, because I want to build that range of resonance. And if I just start fire sailing everything and have you start with too big of goals and trying to change everything at once, that's going to topple you over. It's going to put you over your threshold, and then you're going to crash, and then then you're going to ghost me. And then, and then shit happens there. So I just wanted to speak this to you, because I mean, when you've been dieting, or if you've been yo-yo dieting for any length of period of time, your metabolism isn't in a spot for you to be able to go on another weight loss journey. We have to remove things instead of add things in. As far as we got to clean house a little bit. What needs to go? What isn't valuable to us? So where are you at? I just wanted, let's kind of like take stock. And if you want, I can even send you a PDF to kind of do like a stress inventory. What's stressing you in your life, and how much? because I can guarantee you so many people underestimate how much stress they have going on in their life and for how long, and how that, and I'm here as an interpreter. If I were to speak for your body, I'm the interpreter to say, hey, this is what your metabolism's saying. When you have all of these symptoms, like what we said about in episode 2 of my metabolic backstory, your body speaks in symptoms, and we have to address the root cause. And weight loss isn't that answer. Weight loss is just it's going to stress out the nervous system more. So let me know if you want that stress inventory. I'm happy to send it to you. If you want, you can even send it back. I'd love to, have a conversation with you. So that's all for today. See you again on the next edition.